The Philidor Defence is one of those openings that black plays, and it appears complex. In fact, if you don't take your time, it could lead to really complex positions. And that's not what you want as the player with the white pieces, right? Because black is the one that is trying to push for complications so that they could get an advantage and equalize and get into a middle game where they have, no trouble troubling you. But you, on the other hand, as a white piece, you want to simplify things from the start, or at least that's my approach when facing complex openings. I'm talking like the knight off, for instance. This Philidor, which I think is very solid, in fact, too solid if you ask me. But yeah, that's my approach. Simplify things so that we can get into an open middle game, and I can use my tempo as the white pieces. Of course, you remember that in the game, white always starts a tempo up, but it even gets more complicated if you are an attacking player. You will always be pushing for tempo. So yeah, get into a middle game where you have, an attacking advantage. Simplify the game. Let me show you what I mean without talking too much. This Philidor game. By the way, I played this one with 88.1% accuracy. I wish I could have shown it on screen. And I played one brilliant move that ironically is a defensive move, not an attacking move. So just let's walk through the game. I play e4 and they strike e5, and I think that we are going to go into Italian territory. Probably I could even play like a fried liver type setup with my bishop on c4. But I was surprised when I saw this move because I don't see it that often at this level. I mean, this is not the highest level, but it's still pretty high. 2100 is still pretty high for the casual player. Okay, so what do I do? I'm like, okay, fine. I strike at that punching. This is part of my simplification idea I'm telling you about. I don't want to give him the time to, maneuver his pieces and put them in would-be holes and all that. No. Let's simplify from the beginning and play an open game. He takes and I take back with the knight. Note that in this position, and yeah, all this is book moves, but cramming book moves is not really the way to go. You want to get a feel for what you're playing. You want to understand why you're playing what you're playing. Book moves are playable, like if I take with the queen. But this means that he gets to play this, and moving back the queen to anywhere else will be sort of a loss of tempo. So you will have to pin the knight, and then he can break the pin, and then now you have to consider exchanging because, of course, you don't want to lose tempo. And not like this is bad, but if you notice, black has the bishop pair. In a position like this where they're hoping to stir up complications, I feel like that's an advantage for them. I want to be the one to keep the bishop pair, especially when black has not yet castled. I don't know where his king leaves, and I want to be able to keep my options open so that I can attack the king whenever he castles, I can now finally attack the king. So I don't like this position. That's why I made the decision here to capture with the knight instead. He develops his knight attacking my pawn, and I develop and protect my pawn as well too. And if you look, for those of you that have a bit of experience playing Sicilian positions, if you look, this is looking like a Sicilian-ish sort of position. If maybe he's able to play c5 now ahead, and we can say, okay, look, yeah, this is looking very Sicilian. But that was the first thing that came to my mind when I started looking at the placement of these two knights. The fact that my bishop could potentially come here. It's looking like an English attack kind of setup. And this is why I'm always saying to players, especially players that are new to the game or just trying to get deeper, don't bounce between openings. When you pick an opening, study it in depth. Try and get into it, try and gain depth, try and be expansive with that opening, because the ideas in one opening usually morphs to another. We started with the Philidor, and look at me now having some Sicilian ideas. Anyway, he develops small bishop move, and I do this big bishop move on d3. He hits my knight. I give my knight this space. I hop in here. Computer is saying I should have hit with a check first, but I'm not a computer. I'm a human being. He tries to pin my knight to the queen. I wonder if this move is relevant. And then I play f3. Now, this is completely an Italian setup. Maybe if this bishop were here, it would have been perfect or whatever. But with this knight on f3, my two knights here, this is an Italian setup. I'm like, okay, fine. He falls back and I castle immediately. I'm like, I have an idea now where your king is going to go. He doesn't want to go here. He doesn't want to castle long because, of course, I'm going to attack him. But he's more likely to castle here because it just cost him one move, right? So I castle and I'm ready. He castles. I'm fine. Now I hit this bishop. I'm like, let me just pick up the bishop and have the bishop pair. You see, bishop pair advantage is important. Anyway, he falls back and he takes here, opening this diagonal for me. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Best time to now capture it. Also, remember d5, the same ideas in the Sicilian. We're fighting over that d5 square now. He goes here. I'm like, before I resume my fight, let me kill all queenside expansion, all queenside counterplay. This is an Alpha Zero move. Yes. The games I've seen Alpha Zero play, the chess machines, they always find time to squeeze in a4 or a5 for whatever reason. They're just trying to prevent queenside play, and I'm like, okay, this cannot be a bad move. So this move has sort of burned into my memory now, and I play it almost all the time, and it's almost never a bad move, trust me. Anyway, he develops his knight, trying to maybe take advantage of these two holes that have been created by that move. You got to be aware, you got to watch out for it. Okay, maybe this hole more like, because this one was already there. And I hop into d5. I'm like, let's exchange and let me put a piece here. He goes to attack my bishop, and I fall back to the base of this. This is the base of the pawn chain, but this is the real base because this guy cannot go back there. Why? So that if I eventually push this pawn, this point is covered. You feel me? This point is covered. No piece can go there. Anyway, he takes the knight, and I take with the queen. Good move. Maybe I was considering taking with the pawn, but I'm like, no, I don't want to close the position and again put it into complex waters. I'll take with this queen, and at the same time, keep an eye on this pawn. He goes this way, in the mind, with the mind to protect the pawn. I'm like, fine. Time to give this knight the boot. I don't want him to get too into my position. He should go back to his house. He goes back to his house. I'm like, fine. And I develop my last piece. I'm like, okay, I think we have enough now to begin to, maneuver and try to push for exchanges that will work in my favor in case we head to an endgame. Okay, he attacks my queen and the pawn, and I go here to defend. Computer is saying I should have come here, but this move is still not bad anyway. He strikes at d5, and I use the opportunity to kick the knights. He flies away, and I bring my rook inside. Let's gang up on this pawn immediately. If he pushes me here, I can always maybe fall back here and go for an exchange type thing, because this pawn is not stable enough. If he tries to do it, it will fall. Anyway, he goes to open up my king side, but now I have a free pawn. And I'm confident I can head into an endgame where I'm winning. I just need to play accurately. He takes this one, and I take with the rook, facilitating beautiful exchanges, just straight up exchanges. I have a pawn up. I'm a pawn up now, so I want to push for the endgame because I feel like my one pawn advantage is going to matter in that endgame. He goes to attack me, and I defend myself. He goes this way. I'm like, what? I fall back to this base, protecting this point. What does he do? He comes to attack my bishop, and I say, let me remove the defender of this guy so I can pick up this guy. What does he do? He gives me the boot. I'm like, fine. He played some really accurate moves here. He had seen some things. I took out the knight, of course, and then he goes here attacking the bishop. I'm like, what? Is this guy going to really win a piece? Like, I just won a piece. Is he going to win it back? And then I found this move. I'm like, okay, you attack me, I attack you. I have the time. This pawn is going to help me be able to pick up this bishop. But then he finds this check. I'm like, interesting. I go here, trying to bait him into coming here to do some sort of discovery type setup where I will go here. Let's say he hits me with check. I go here. And then, because of course I can't walk in here. If I walk in here, that'll just be setting myself up for, losing the rook. But yeah, he doesn't do this. He instead gains back his own piece. But I had to have seen some things. I take here because, of course, this pawn is now defended by a tactic. If he takes it, boom, shakalaka. And I'm winning a piece, I'm winning the endgame. So he sees that and he doesn't play it. He plays the next best move, which is to bring the king closer into the action. Also, please note how this rook is on the 7th rank, keeping the king away from playing in this game for now. Anyway, I have the time now to defend my bishop. He closes up on the queen side. I'm like, fine, I hit this guy with check. He goes here and I win a pawn quickly. He goes to attack this pawn, which is a beautiful move. And I paused, I calculated for a while, but I saw something that made me confident. I saw an endgame where I'm winning and I just pushed for it immediately. I bait him. I'm like, go ahead, take the pawn. He takes the pawn, and then I immediately pin the the bishop to the rook. According to the engine, this is regarded as a brilliancy. It's a defensive idea, but it's a brilliancy. I think it's a defensive idea. At the same time, it's still sort of attacking. Anyway, now he has to take, because the bishop was hanging, he has to take the pawn, you know, just gain what he can gain before he loses the rook. So I take the rook, he takes this one, and I'm like, fine, I take this one, he takes this one. And as you can see already, this is a winning endgame. I had to have seen it, and I pushed for it. So my pawns begin to roll immediately, because what they say, past pawn should be pushed, but I'm like, if you have the pawn advantage, use it. He starts to come into the game. I continue, I attack this guy, and at the same time, cut the king off. Very, very important to restrict the mobility of that patriarch. He goes to defend that pawn. I'm like, fine. I start to roll with my own unit. He plays this move, not a bad move. I continue going towards that direction so that at least I can catch up with a pawn if he's able to do some sort of, you know, who knows what he wants to do. He goes this way, and I go to the only light square, away from the threats of this dark squared bishop. Remember, I have a dark squared bishop. What's the point of staying on the dark square? I got to stay on the play. I got to stay on a square where he will find it difficult to touch me with the only available piece he has. And also, more importantly, this rook is going to be protecting this pawn, because very soon it's going to come under fire. He plays the move, and I'm like, you see the importance of staying here? I don't have to move. I just continue my rolling pawns. He continues playing, looking for space. He has to get around some type of way. Oh, no, it's not working. I keep going. He comes down. I take. He goes down. I go. He goes. I go. And textbook finish. Boom. Boom. Checkmate. So yeah, whether that's the Philidor Defence, the Sicilian, or the Sicilian Najdorf, or whatever other opening that black throws your way to stir up complications, when you're playing with the white pieces, I believe that the best approach is to go for simplifications as early as possible, and, you know, get into a middle game where you can play and push for an end game where you have an advantage. C'est fini. Yeah, also wanted to thank the person who left a comment at my previous video about there were some key points that he noted, and I just want to say I'm grateful. Thank you. That helped me come up with this new overlay, and I hope you like it. I hope this overlay works for you and it doesn't distract your learning. And thank you once again for all the points that you raised. Ashiware.